getting consistent pressure on the quarterback. And we had a lot of third downs that I think are winnable third downs where we didn't get off the field. And as a former defensive coordinator, pressure on the quarterback is a great fix. And the one thing about DJ Elliott's defenses over the years, everywhere he's been, he's improved their numbers in tackles for loss and sacks. He's learned a lot in his profession as a coordinator in the SEC, ACC, and Pac-12, but also in his time with the Philadelphia Eagles. And the one unique thing about both these coordinators is they're similar to me, similar to our players. We got something to prove. And I think for those of you that know me know that that's something I like. I like being in a room with guys that feel like they're being under the radar, feel like maybe there's some things we got to prove about our team, ourselves as coaches, as players. And so it's a really unique staff. We have gotten younger as a staff, and I think that energy is definitely contagious on the field for these guys at practice. We have really two different things when you look at our team. Our offense returns a lot of the players that played last year, with the exception of a few transfers on the offensive line. If you look at our skill players, Wesley Grimes, Noah Rogers, Keenan Jackson, Terrell Anderson, guys that played a lot last year at receiver are back. At tight end with Justin coming back and obviously improving. But adding an experienced player, Cody Hardy, who you guys haven't watched yet, he's really going to be a dominant player in the run game for us. Our tailback, Hollywood Smothers, really had some big plays for us last year, and then the emergence in the offseason of one of our young backs in Duke Scott. So we have a lot of guys back on offense, along with our quarterbacks. The first time I've had a returning starter at quarterback in 3 years. So your offseason as a head coach is tremendously different when you have an offseason with a starting quarterback. A year ago, he's trying to learn what it's like to be a college student. He's trying to learn an offense. He's trying to learn the names of his coaches, the names of his teammates. This year, he's leading those guys. He's taking them out on the field and working on routes. And there's a different thing for him. It's a completely different place that he's in at 200 plus pounds compared to the 170-ish that he was when he got here. And so excited, and some key pieces defensively. We lost a lot of starters. There's a lot of guys that played that are back, but a lot of starters. So this fall camp will be a very competitive fall camp. I think DJ and the defensive staff did a really good job adding some quality pieces to the front. Kean Sloan, 7.5 sacks last year, really good pass rusher. Sebastian Harsh was a really good player at Wyoming. Adding those two guys to the edges of our defensive line. Trey Thomas comes in, a guy that can play multiple positions. And Ryan Nelson, a guy that got a lot of accolades as a true freshman at North Texas, tested really well for us last week at corner. A safety that's played every position in the back end, and J.J. Johnson is just a really consistent and good communicator. Kenny Soares, the linebacker that played a lot of positions for Northwestern. So we've added some pieces that have been on the field playing at their other schools, and then we added some guys that were younger that bring a lot to the table. Jaron Sensabaugh, defensive back, whose father had a great career at the school down the road and played in the NFL for a long time. A.J. Richardson, who's been a delight, great leadership, was a captain as a true freshman at his former school, so has proven leadership. And then DJ, he's like me, been through a lot, and through his different stops and learning, it's been fun because I've known him over 20 years but never worked with him, just sitting down and talking football. And he's a great translator of the changes that we're making. He's coached in this exact system at another school, and so he knows the verbiage of it, but he also knows how to translate the verbiage of it into other things that we're doing. We return all of our specialists, so it's nice to have returning experience and proven guys as punter, snapper, kicker, and look forward to seeing what Jonathan Paylor and Hollywood Smothers and some of these guys can do as our returners this season. And this league, conference of quarterbacks, puts a lot of teams in bowl games year in and year out, tons of players in the draft. I think is also similar to our program, undervalued and underlooked at times, but year after year has a team fighting to be in the national championship. And so proud to be a competitive member of the ACC and look forward to chasing our dreams and goals, and no different than every year. We have the same aspirations that we've had, and that's to win every game that we play and to put ourselves in a position to be in the conversation at the end of the year. And look forward to the opportunity starting Monday with these guys to show that we're ready to do that. I'll open it up for any questions.
Coach, thank you. We'll take your first one right in front of you to the left, front row.
Dan Tortora, wakeupcalldt.com. How are you, Coach?
Good, Dan.
To go off of what you were speaking on here and what you've done, I mean, 13 years, year 13 at NC State, we don't see that. It's atypical for coaches to be around that long. So just what you can say about why NC State and why build this program for the length of time you have, and then secondly, to go off of your comments on the ACC, if you feel like this is a multi-bid college football playoff caliber conference.
Yeah. NC State was the right fit for me. You know, my second year at NIU, we'd won a second straight conference championship. Our team was headed to the Orange Bowl. There was a lot of teams that were calling and asking if I would be interested. And at that time, I told Sarah, you know, if we leave, I want to leave for the right fit. I don't want to just chase a name or a school. I want to find something that fits our family. We had 3 sons that I didn't really want to move them again if I didn't have to. And I know that's unrealistic maybe in college football, but I never think about going somewhere and it not working. Okay, I think about what I'm going to do when I get there and how I'm going to do it, and the people I need along my side to do it with me. And I found that, you know, at North Carolina State, I found a blue-collar school where the fan base supports the student athletes, a place where I could live and be myself, a place where I could raise my sons, and a place that had the geography that I like, because I love to be outdoors, I love to fish and golf, and to be able to do that in 4 seasons was a blessing. And so we were fortunate, you know, like recruiting. We tell recruits, hey, find the right fit, and I did. And I had a lot of goals when I got here, and I've accomplished a lot of them. But there's still, as I said at the beginning, meat on the bone. You know, 10-plus wins, winning the ACC, being in the playoffs. These are all things that I think and know that we can do with the right players, right staff. And sometimes you got to have a few breaks, you know, staying healthy and things like that. As far as the league, there's no doubt that this league has shown that. And if you go back, I mean, just in my tenure, you know, with Florida State winning national championships, Clemson winning national championships, we've shown that we belong. And just to be candid, I'm not against multiple automatic qualifiers. I think that, you know, to me, I think that limits leagues. You know, you may have 6 teams that are in the top 20 in your league. Why would you only want 3 of them or 4 of them? You know, to me, it ought to be the top, whatever that number is in the playoffs, come up with an algorithm that takes human elements out of it, that rewards people for strength of schedule, quality wins, conference wins, all the things that, you know, you look at that mean something. When it comes to successful seasons, being a coach that actually was in the FCS, that was a part of playoffs, you knew that the top whatever we're in. We didn't have a conference championship game. You had to be in the top 12 or top 16, and you know, so I've been a part of it where it wasn't messy. And you know, the only team that's mad is the one that gets left out. That's the lowest ranked, and you know, I think people can live with the best 15 or 16 teams being in there. So I think we're complicating things too much right now with what league deserves this or deserves that. And you know, to that point, you know, college football just needs to do its best for college football, not what's best for the Big Ten, SEC, or ACC. We need to do its best for the sport.
We're going to squeeze in one last question. Coach, to your right, second row.
Coach Corey Smith with Fact Pride 24/7 Sports.
Hey, Corey.
You talked about the fact that, you know, you saw some differences in terms of the offense back in the spring. What did you see as far as tangible differences having a guy like C.J. Bailey back, having Hollywood Smothers, having Justin Gilly?
When you have returning players, they can build on previous experiences, and you can as a coach. Like, I can point out to those 3 players the areas that they did well and the areas they need to focus on to be better, and then you can see their focus on those areas and help them get to those points where they're improving. And that's, as you know, one of the things we pride ourselves on is being a developmental program, helping guys become better than they were. So when you have a returning player, you're allowed that opportunity. And I think that's one of the things that gets lost in the sauce of transferring. When guys leave, sometimes their development goes down. They may be going to a worse strength program and not know that. They may be going to a position coach that's not a developmental coach. He only coaches the guys that are going to play on game day, and it's the opposite. We want to develop every player in our locker room. We don't care if you're a walk-on, if you're a starter, or you're a backup. Our job is to help them get better. That's how we do things at NC State. And so those guys were diligent about being better. And it's not just as players, being better as people, being better as leaders, being better in your weak areas, And so it's nice to be able to do that. In regard to changes in the offense, when you watch offensive football on tape, taking play calling out of it and taking names of plays out of it, a lot of plays are the same, same formations, same plays when you watch all teams. Everybody in some ways run an inside zone, outside zone, counter. You have same route trees. It's how you package it so that within the game you can make adjustments and call plays the way you need to based on how you're being defended. And that's the one thing I like about the things Kurt's changed. Our offense is similar in some ways, and in some ways it's very different in that he can manipulate things quickly with the verbiage that he's changed.
Coach, thank you. You can switch spots with
Thank you guys. Go Pack.